There's something deeply wrong with the way most people have been taught to manifest. Something subtle, but powerful enough to keep entire generations trapped in endless cycles of waiting, scripting, visualizing, and hoping, only to look up months or even years later and wonder why the shift never came. The strange thing is, it's not because manifestation doesn't work. It's because most people are doing it too slowly. Not out of laziness, but by design. Hidden inside the popular concept of manifestation is a lie so persuasive that it sounds almost like truth, that if you just think about your desire long enough, visualize it clearly enough, repeat it consistently enough, eventually, reality will rearrange itself to bring it to you. At first, it sounds reasonable, logical, even empowering. But if you look closer, you'll find a dangerous assumption buried deep inside that framework, an assumption that quietly programs your nervous system with delay, effort, and distance. That assumption is simple: what I desire isn't here yet. I have to do something to get it. And the moment you believe that, you've already stepped out of alignment with the quantum truth. Because the instant you define your desire as something separate from now, something that must arrive, appear, or be earned, you collapse yourself into a timeline where it doesn't exist yet. You reinforce the illusion of the future, of waiting, of not yet. And without realizing it, you start vibrating at the frequency of absence. This is why manifestation feels slow. It's not because reality is resisting you, it's because you're energizing the version of yourself who's still waiting. The one who still believes that time, effort, and patience are required to bridge the gap between who you are and what you want. But the quantum field doesn't run on time, it runs on coherence. And coherence doesn't require effort, it requires alignment. The harder you try, the louder you declare to the universe, "This isn't mine yet." The more you visualize it as something that's coming, the more you train your nervous system to expect its absence in the present moment. And here's where it gets tricky, because even the most well-meaning spiritual teachings reinforce this delay. They tell you things like, trust divine timing. Be patient with the universe. It's on the way. Keep the faith. But in quantum reality, time isn't a delivery system. Time is a mirror. It reflects the frequency you're broadcasting right now, not your intentions, not your affirmations, not your vision board, only your now signal. If that signal is full of longing, desire, urgency, or anticipation, the field mirrors that back to you perfectly. More things to want, more things to chase, more reasons to wait. This is the core misalignment. You were never meant to chase reality. You were meant to collapse it. And collapsing reality isn't something that happens later, it's something that happens now. Manifestation was never supposed to be a technique. It was meant to be a remembering, an act of frequency precision, a vibrational identity so steady and clear that the universe has no choice but to mirror it instantly. Because when your inner world becomes identical to the reality you desire, the field must respond. That's not magic, that's physics. But most people never reach that point. Not because they're incapable, but because they're stuck in the trap of becoming. They're caught in endless loops of self-improvement, always trying to fix or perfect themselves before allowing the breakthrough to arrive. And every time they sit down to manifest from that energy, they activate the timeline where the shift hasn't happened yet. The vibration of almost there, almost ready, almost worthy. But the field doesn't respond to almost. It responds to embodiment. And here's what no one tells you, because the truth dissolves the need for most of the manifestation content out there. When you truly understand how the quantum field works, you realize there's nothing to attract. You're not a magnet pulling things toward you, you're a tuner locking into a frequency that already exists. And when you lock into that frequency, what matches it must appear. Not eventually, but immediately, in alignment. Alignment moves faster than time. That's why manifestation feels painfully slow when taught the old way, but unbelievably fast when embodied correctly. Because the shift isn't about how long you've been doing the work. It's about how clearly you're broadcasting the frequency of the reality you claim to believe in. Most people are trying to become magnetic, but the truth is, you already are. The only question is, what frequency are you stabilizing? If it's lack, you'll receive more reasons to need. If it's struggle, you'll get more things to push through. But if it's embodiment, if you are living, breathing, and feeling from the version of you who already has it, you'll experience instant feedback loops of alignment. Here's the radical realization: you don't need to become more powerful to manifest faster. You simply have to stop energizing the version of you who believes it takes time. Time isn't the gap between your intention and your outcome. It's the measure of how long it takes for your vibration to stop contradicting your desire. Once that contradiction ends, reality bends. So the real question isn't, how do I manifest what I want? The question is, why do I still believe I have to wait? Because once that belief dissolves, speed increases, not because you're forcing it, but because reality has nothing left to resist. You're no longer trying to make it happen, you're being the version of you where it already has. And that is faster than thought. We've been trained to view reality as something outside of us, something that unfolds according to fixed rules, predictable laws, and linear time. But when you look at quantum physics beyond the math and into consciousness itself, a new truth emerges, one that's darker, deeper, and infinitely more empowering. Reality doesn't unfold. It collapses. And it collapses in direct response to the observer, to you. Not the version of you who's thinking or wishing, but the one who's broadcasting right now, a frequency so coherent, so congruent with a specific possibility, that the quantum field has no choice but to organize itself around it. This is the quantum shortcut. It breaks every linear rule about manifestation because it removes the process entirely. It bypasses time, collapses distance, and turns potential into form. Not through effort, but through energetic dominance. The reality you live in isn't being built slowly. It's being selected instantly, over and over, based on your vibration. Have you ever felt like you're doing everything right? You visualize, you affirm, you trust the process, yet somehow, nothing really changes? Like the universe is stuck buffering your reality, and you're just standing there, waiting for your miracle to load. It's not because manifestation doesn't work. It's because you've been taught to do it in slow motion. Most people are trying to manifest from a version of themselves that doesn't believe it's already done. And that, right there, is why they stay stuck. The truth is, manifestation was never supposed to take time. It's not something that arrives, it's something that collapses. Reality isn't built like a staircase, it's built like a mirror. It doesn't move toward you slowly, it reflects you instantly. Here's the twist most people miss: the moment you define what you want as something that isn't here yet, you instantly shift into a vibration of waiting. You start sending out the signal of absence, and the universe, being a perfect mirror, sends that absence right back. That's why people say things like, "It's coming," for years and still don't see it. Because coming means not here. The language of the universe doesn't understand time, it understands state. You don't receive what you wish for. You receive what you are. When you say, "I want abundance," the vibration underneath those words says, "I don't have it yet." When you say, "I'm manifesting love," you're often vibrating, "Love is missing." The universe doesn't hear your words, it hears your signal. And your signal is whatever you're being in the present moment. You can't trick it with affirmations if your nervous system is still wired for lack. You can't fool the quantum field with pretty words if your emotional frequency is still, "I hope it happens." Because that hope energy creates more situations that make you hope, not have. And that's why so many people feel frustrated. They think they're doing everything right, scripting, visualizing, listening to subliminals, but deep down, they're still operating from separation. They're still trying to get there. But you can't manifest from there. You can only manifest from now. The real power begins when you stop chasing the version of reality you want and start becoming the person who already lives in it. You shift from trying to attract to embodying what's already mine. That's when things start bending around you like light. Quantum physics has already shown that the observer affects the outcome. What you focus on collapses into form. But the secret nobody tells you is that your focus isn't just mental, it's vibrational. It's what you feel, what you believe, and what you hold steady in your body. Every emotion is a frequency. Every thought is a signal. And your current reality is simply the result of the frequencies you've been stabilizing the longest. Change the signal, and you don't have to wait, the field rearranges instantly to match your new state. But that's the hard part, isn't it? Staying in the vibration of what you want when the evidence says otherwise. When your bank account is empty, how do you feel abundant? When you're lonely, how do you embody love? When nothing is working, how do you act like it already has? The answer isn't to pretend. It's to remember. You've already felt those states before. You know what it feels like to wake up excited, to feel cared for, to trust life. That's the frequency of your desired reality, and it already lives inside you. You're not creating it from scratch, you're tuning back into it. The universe doesn't delay because it's punishing you. It delays because your signal keeps changing. One day you're certain it's yours, and the next you're doubting again. You send out mixed frequencies, and the field mirrors that confusion right back. That's why you get a little progress and then it fades. Reality isn't random. It's precise, mathematical, and instantaneous. It's just matching your coherence. The moment your vibration becomes stable, when your inner world stops contradicting your desire, you'll see evidence appear so fast it almost feels unfair. That's what people mean when they say, quantum leaps. They're not big, dramatic miracles, they're shifts in frequency that collapse timelines. You don't have to wait months for change. Time is only needed when your vibration keeps wobbling between belief and doubt. Once you lock into certainty, not by forcing it, but by being it, time becomes irrelevant. You move into what already exists. Because the truth is, every version of you already exists in the quantum field, the abundant you, the healed you, the loved you, the free you. You're not manifesting them, you're selecting them. Most people think manifestation is about asking the universe for something. But you don't ask reality to give you what's already yours, you claim it. You align with it. You live as if it's normal, inevitable, already integrated. Because in the quantum field, normal equals real. The more natural your desire feels, the faster it materializes. The more special, or big, you make it, the further away it goes. That's why the small things, like finding a parking spot or getting a text, manifest easily. They're not loaded with resistance. You believe they're easy, so the universe agrees. Now imagine applying that same certainty to something huge, your dream career, your soulmate, your financial freedom. What if you stopped trying to get there and simply decided, this is who I am now? No more waiting. No more proving. Just existing in that frequency until the world catches up, which it always does, because it has to. The outer world can only ever mirror the inner one. The entire universe is energy responding to identity. The question is never, when will it happen? The real question is, who am I being right now? Because the moment you change your state of being, everything else follows. You don't need more time, you need more coherence. You don't need to do more, you need to stop doubting who you already are. When you master that, manifestation stops being something you practice. It becomes something you live. The secret isn't to think harder or visualize longer. It's to become so aligned with your desired reality that anything outside of it feels unnatural. That's when miracles stop feeling like miracles and start feeling like logic. Because once you understand the laws of energy, you realize, nothing ever arrives. It's just revealed. The moment you stop chasing and start embodying, something incredible happens, reality bends around you. Things begin to align without you forcing them. The people, opportunities, and events that once felt far away start showing up naturally, almost effortlessly. It's not luck. It's not coincidence. It's resonance. You've shifted from wanting into being, and the universe can't resist that frequency. It's like gravity, it doesn't negotiate, it just responds. You're no longer asking for your desire, you're radiating it. That's why so many people say, things started working when I stopped trying so hard. It's not that they gave up, it's that they surrendered the resistance. They stopped broadcasting lack and started broadcasting certainty. And certainty doesn't come from logic. It comes from embodiment. It's not about saying, I know it's mine. It's about feeling that it's already yours. When you reach that state, there's no need to hope or affirm. You just exist as the version of you where it's normal. That's when life moves in ways that defy reason. Think about it. Every version of reality already exists in the quantum field. There's a version of you struggling, a version thriving, a version healing, a version already living your dream life. None of them are in the future. They're all here, layered possibilities waiting for you to tune into one. And tuning in isn't a mental game, it's a vibrational one. The reality you experience is the one your frequency agrees with most consistently. That's why sudden breakthroughs happen when you least expect them. It's not random, you simply stopped resisting, even for a moment, and instantly matched a higher frequency. So, if reality is that flexible, why does it feel so rigid? Because your subconscious mind keeps replaying the same stories, beliefs, and emotional patterns, like a song on repeat. Those stories define what feels real to you. And the universe, being a perfect mirror, reflects whatever you accept as real. That's why changing your beliefs feels uncomfortable at first. You're not just shifting thoughts, you're rewriting the vibrational code that reality uses to build itself around you. This is where most people stop. They say, I tried to believe, but it didn't work. But belief isn't something you force, it's something you stabilize. You don't fake it, you train your nervous system to feel safe in the new frequency. At first, abundance might feel foreign. Love might feel too good to be true. Freedom might feel like fantasy. That's normal. Your body is used to survival, not expansion. But every time you sit in that elevated emotion without collapsing back into fear, you rewire your reality. You show your subconscious that this new version is safe. And once it feels safe, it becomes normal. Once it's normal, it becomes visible. Manifestation, in its purest form, isn't about thinking something into being, it's about normalizing it into your vibration. You can't just visit your desired reality, you have to live there mentally, emotionally, energetically, until it feels ordinary. The moment it feels ordinary, it appears. Because the quantum field doesn't deliver what's special, it mirrors what's stable. Let that sink in, stability creates speed. The universe doesn't respond to your excitement, it responds to your consistency. That's why things appear right when you stop obsessing. You finally drop the emotional turbulence, the checking energy, the is it working thoughts, and in that stillness, the signal clears. Reality catches up to the calm. Because calm is certainty. Most people don't have a manifestation problem, they have a nervous system problem. They try to hold high vibrations while their body is still wired for stress, scarcity, and survival. They visualize abundance but feel anxiety. They affirm love but expect abandonment. That split creates noise in their signal. The universe doesn't ignore them, it just matches the stronger vibration, which is usually fear. But when you learn to soothe your body, to breathe deeply and anchor into peace before the evidence arrives, you start broadcasting a different signal. And that signal says, I already have it. The key is emotional regulation, learning to feel good without needing the external proof. The moment you can feel whole without the thing you want, you align with the version of you who already has it. You dissolve the illusion of separation. And then, reality has no choice but to mirror your wholeness. That's the real secret behind every overnight success and miracle manifestation. It wasn't sudden, it was just that their frequency finally stopped contradicting their desire. Time bends around coherence. When your energy is scattered, reality feels slow. When your energy is focused, it moves fast. This isn't metaphorical, it's literal quantum mechanics. The observer collapses the wave into a particle instantly. There's no waiting in physics, only alignment. But because humans live inside time, we experience that collapse as a delay. That delay isn't punishment, it's calibration. It's your nervous system catching up to your new identity. Once it stabilizes, time compresses. So instead of asking, "Where's my manifestation?" ask, "Where am I still contradicting it?" Because the moment your thoughts, emotions, and identity line up, there's nothing left to wait for. Reality shifts automatically. You don't need to force a breakthrough, you need to stop arguing with the one that's already available. When you understand this, patience becomes irrelevant. You stop praying from desperation and start declaring from authority. You stop waiting for signs and start realizing you are the sign. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every vibration you stabilize, that's the creation process. The outer world is just catching up to your inner signal. And the best part? You don't need to perfect this. You just need to become more aware of the moments you slip back into lack, the little thoughts like, "It's not working," or "Maybe I'm not ready." Those tiny doubts are what stretch time. The moment you notice them and choose to shift, you pull your manifestation closer. You shorten the distance between thought and form. Remember, the universe doesn't care about your timeline. It only mirrors your state. Change your state, and your timeline changes itself. That's how people go from stuck to unstoppable, not by learning something new, but by finally embodying what they already knew. There's something powerful that happens the moment you finally stop needing proof. When you no longer look outside yourself for confirmation that it's working, that's when it starts to work. Because reality doesn't respond to need, it responds to knowing. The universe mirrors conviction, not confusion. Every time you question whether it's coming, you broadcast a vibration of uncertainty, and uncertainty delays everything. But when you breathe, relax, and choose to believe even when there's no evidence, you collapse timelines. That's when you shift from being a seeker of signs to being the source of them. It's strange how human beings have been conditioned to look at their outer world as something separate, as if the universe is a vending machine, and if you press the right buttons long enough, maybe it'll finally deliver your dream. But that's not how creation works. The external isn't responding to your requests, it's reflecting your resonance. It's not waiting for instructions, it's following your vibration like an echo. You don't attract what you think you want, you attract what you are right now. That's why true manifestation is more about identity than intention. You can't just want something, you have to become the version of you who already has it. When you start thinking like them, feeling like them, walking like them, speaking like them, reality begins to shift. Not because you forced it, but because you synced your frequency to a new version of yourself. The moment your energy matches that identity, your life reorganizes to fit it. That's the part most people overlook. They spend years asking the universe to bring something new into their life, but they're still holding on to the energy of the old version of themselves, the one who doesn't believe, doesn't trust, doesn't feel ready. But you can't drag your old vibration into a new reality. Something has to be released, and most of the time, that something is the version of you who keeps waiting. This is why surrender is so powerful. Not surrender as in giving up, but surrender as in letting go of control. Letting go of the constant checking, the mental obsession, the fear that maybe it's not working. Because that fear is what keeps the loop alive. The moment you stop trying to control how or when it happens, you finally allow the universe to move. Control creates friction. Trust creates flow. And this is where faith takes on a new meaning. Faith isn't blind hope. It's vibrational certainty. It's walking through the unknown as if it's already known. It's living from the end instead of waiting for the end. The people who manifest the fastest aren't the ones who work the hardest, they're the ones who trust the deepest. They've stopped arguing with their future. They've accepted that it's already done, and that acceptance creates a frequency of peace that pulls everything in effortlessly. But make no mistake, this kind of peace isn't passive. It's powerful. It's magnetic. It's the kind of calm that bends reality. You stop forcing outcomes and start allowing alignment. And ironically, that's when everything starts accelerating. Because the universe isn't testing you, it's tuning to you. It can't give you what you want until you become a vibrational match to it. Once that alignment locks in, manifestation isn't a process anymore. It's a side effect. Imagine standing in front of an infinite number of doors. Each door represents a different version of reality. You don't open a door by begging it to appear. You open it by vibrating in harmony with what's behind it. The moment your frequency matches that reality, the door disappears, because you're already inside. That's how quantum selection works. There's no waiting, no delay, only coherence. And that's why emotional mastery matters so much. Your emotions are the steering wheel of your vibration. Every time you let fear, doubt, or frustration take the lead, you're steering back toward the version of you who doesn't have it yet. Every time you center yourself in peace, gratitude, and certainty, you steer toward the version who already does. The key is awareness, not perfection. You don't have to feel good every second, you just have to notice when you drift and realign faster each time. Because here's the truth, your future isn't waiting for you to be perfect, it's waiting for you to be consistent. Every time you choose to hold the frequency of your desired reality a little longer, you're building momentum. The field begins to stabilize around that new signal. Eventually, the evidence becomes undeniable. You don't have to hope anymore, you know. And once you know, the universe has no choice but to follow your lead. That's when you step into a level of power that most people never access, the ability to shift timelines consciously. You start realizing that every delay was just feedback from the field saying, you're not aligned yet. Not punishment, guidance. Reality is always speaking, but most people are too busy worrying to listen. When you finally understand that every event, every obstacle, every silence is a mirror, you stop taking things personally. You stop saying, why isn't it happening, and start asking, what vibration am I projecting? And that question changes everything. Because once you start adjusting your frequency instead of your effort, you move from resistance to precision. You stop running toward your manifestation and start walking with it. The universe is exact. It doesn't miss. It doesn't forget. It's not ignoring you, it's waiting for you to match your own request. That's why the shift often happens the moment you stop chasing. The energy of chase says, it's not here. The energy of embodiment says, it's done. And the moment you declare, it's done, from a place of calm, something inside you changes. You stop vibrating lack. You start radiating completion. And completion attracts completion. This is the real meaning behind the phrase, ask, believe, receive. Most people get stuck between the second and third step. They ask, they believe for a moment, and then they doubt again. But true belief isn't fragile. It's unwavering. It's the quiet confidence that says, I don't need to see it to know it's real. That frequency bends reality faster than any technique ever could. So maybe it's time to stop chasing signs and start being one. To stop searching for alignment and start living as alignment. To stop praying from need and start declaring from wholeness. Because the universe doesn't respond to words, it responds to frequency. And your frequency becomes magnetic the moment you remember that you were never waiting for your dream. Your dream was waiting for you. The greatest illusion you'll ever break is the belief that you have to wait for anything. Waiting is a program, not a law. Somewhere along the way, you were taught that desire and fulfillment must be separated by time, that you have to earn, deserve, or prove yourself before reality rewards you. But that's never been true. The quantum field doesn't operate on effort, it operates on equivalence. You don't work your way toward a vibration, you match it. The moment your inner world becomes equal to the reality you seek, time collapses. The future stops being a distance and becomes a reflection. Think about how everything you've ever manifested, even the small, random things, appeared when you weren't forcing it. That effortless alignment wasn't coincidence. It was clarity. You stopped worrying about when and simply rested in what is. That's the frequency of creation, the quiet knowing that you're not waiting for the universe, you are the universe, observing itself through a lens called you. The entire field is responding to your state of being, not your calendar. So if you want faster manifestations, you don't speed up time, you dissolve it. You stop treating your desire as something distant, and you start living as if it's already here. And when you do, reality starts playing by different rules. You'll notice the right people showing up without you reaching out, conversations that lead to opportunities you didn't plan, sudden strokes of inspiration that take you exactly where you need to be. Life becomes less about struggle and more about synchronicity. You begin to realize that the universe was never testing you, it was training you to trust yourself. Because the more you trust, the less resistance you create. The less resistance you create, the faster everything unfolds. It's easy to forget that trust itself is a vibration. Doubt slows energy down, trust speeds it up. Every time you choose faith over fear, you accelerate your own timeline. You literally shift your electromagnetic field into coherence, and that coherence pulls reality into order. This is why gratitude is such a powerful force, it instantly places you in the frequency of already having. Gratitude isn't about pretending, it's about remembering. Remembering that you're already supported, already guided, already connected to every possibility that exists. When you live from that awareness, manifestation becomes effortless because you're no longer trying to create, you're allowing creation to flow through you. But here's what no one tells you, even when you're aligned, there will still be moments that look like delay. Don't mistake those pauses for punishment. Those pauses are integration. The universe is reorganizing matter around your new vibration. Think of it like an echo, after you send out a powerful new frequency, the old one has to fade. And during that fading, things might feel quiet, uncertain, or even chaotic. That's not the end, that's the shift. The old reality dissolving as the new one locks in. If you can stay calm in that space, the in-between, you become unstoppable. Because the in-between is where most people lose alignment. They panic, start doubting, and unconsciously pull themselves back into the old vibration. But when you hold the line, when you breathe, trust, and stay grounded even in silence, that's when the breakthrough happens. You're proving to the universe that you're stable enough to hold what you've asked for. Remember, reality doesn't respond to your wants, it responds to your readiness. If something hasn't shown up yet, it's not because you're being denied, it's because your energy is still rehearsing resistance. Once that resistance dissolves, it comes rushing in so fast it almost shocks you. That's why big manifestations often appear out of nowhere. They weren't late, you just became ready all at once. And readiness isn't about confidence, it's about alignment. Confidence says, I can do this. Alignment says, it's already done. When you reach that level of inner peace, you're no longer trying to convince the universe, you're just radiating truth. And truth is magnetic. The more honest your energy becomes, the more real your reality feels. Because reality doesn't reward effort, it rewards authenticity. So here's the paradox, you manifest faster when you stop trying to manifest. The more you relax into your natural state, the version of you who already has what you desire, the more quickly life rearranges itself. That's not spiritual poetry, it's physics. Energy organizes around coherence, and coherence happens when your thoughts, emotions, and actions are saying the same thing. When you stop saying one thing, feeling another, and doing something else entirely, when everything inside you finally agrees, you collapse potential into presence. That's when things just click. You start living in a different rhythm, one where you're no longer reacting to life but orchestrating it from the inside out. The external world stops feeling random. It starts feeling personal, alive, intelligent. You begin to notice how every delay, every redirection, every silence was perfectly placed to strengthen your alignment. The universe isn't punishing you, it's preparing you. Because manifestation isn't about getting what you want, it's about becoming who you are. That's why the fastest way to manifest is to fall in love with the now. When you find beauty in this exact moment, even before the evidence shows up, you tell the universe, I'm already fulfilled. And fulfillment attracts fulfillment. Joy attracts joy. Wholeness attracts more wholeness. The field doesn't discriminate, it multiplies whatever you're radiating. So if you can be grateful now, peaceful now, abundant now, everything else has to follow. It's law. And that's the secret most people never discover. The universe isn't responding to what you do, it's responding to what you are. The real power was never in your technique, it was in your state. When you understand that, every single area of your life starts changing. Relationships deepen, opportunities appear, health improves, and peace becomes your default setting. Because you're no longer living as a seeker, you're living as a creator. You've remembered who you are, consciousness collapsing reality in real time. So take a breath right now. Feel that energy in your body, the pulse, the warmth, the awareness that's listening to these words. That's the universe. That's creation itself. And it's been waiting, not for permission, not for timing, but for you to remember. Remember that the power isn't out there. It's here. It always was. From this moment forward, don't think about your manifestation, become it. Don't chase your dream, embody it. Don't wait for alignment, live it. Because the second you decide that it's already done, the universe will rush to catch up with that decision. The speed of your manifestation isn't measured in time, it's measured in certainty. And when certainty becomes your frequency, everything you've been waiting for starts looking for you. And when it finds you, when the thing you've dreamed of finally arrives, not as a surprise, but as something that feels completely natural, you'll smile, not because it happened, but because you'll finally understand, it was never about attracting what you want. It was always about remembering what you already are.